My name is Nazir El Asmar. I'm the President of the District Council. The Speaker, the Honourable Colin Brooks, and I would like to welcome you to the Parliament. Now, I know we always look for fresh ideas, energy from the young people, and do not be afraid to say what you believe in. Make sure you understand you are the future for our beautiful country, Australia. I wish you all luck, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward in listening to your contribution into the Parliament. I will call upon now the clerk, Mr. Keir Delaney, to read the proclamation convening the Youth Parliament. Thank you.
I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Victorian Council of YMCAs wish to develop a project which will provide young persons with a state forum to express their views on matters of concern to them, provide the state government with bills which would express the concerns and expectations of youth and which could be acted upon by the government, and provide the opportunity for young persons to gain public speaking and debating skills and develop an interest in their own parliamentary system by actually being involved in the parliamentary process. And whereas the Honourable, the President of the Legislative Council, and the Honourable, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly have graciously consented to the use of the Legislative Council and the Legislative Assembly chambers through audio-video link for this purpose. And whereas the Honourable Ros Spence, Minister for Multicultural Affairs, Minister for Community Sport and Minister for Youth, has agreed to receive the bills passed by this Assembly. Now, therefore, I, Georgia Mackenzie, Youth Governor, command the selected members of the YMCA Youth Parliament to attend at the Parliament Houses remotely through audio-video link, 20 September 2021 at 9:45 a.m. for the carrying out of such business as the YMCA Youth Parliament shall deem appropriate. Given under my hand on 20 September 2021, signed Georgia Mackenzie, Youth Governor.
Thank you, Clerk. I call upon Auntie Diane Kerr to perform a welcome to country.
I honour my ancestors and my elders, and I pay homage to all the sacred grounds that we're on. I wish to acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, any First Nations peoples from across the waters, and I acknowledge you all, and I pay my respects to your ancestors, elders and families. It's an honour and a privilege to be able to do your welcome today, and I hope that you pass some good things and talk and really understand each other. You know, it's important that we understand each other. It's important we respect each other, because that's the only way that we can journey together. If we understand each other, we can eradicate racism and stigma. And we pave the way for all of yourselves, but also our future generation as well. So I offer you all my hand in friendship so that we can all journey together. And all it takes is an open hand and an open heart. So may Wunschel, my Creator, surround you all and give you strength and resilience. Woman Jika, Wurundjeri, Ballot, Yim and Gundibik. That means welcome to Wurundjeri country, and I'm welcoming you to country because I'm zooming from Wurundjeri country. For those of you that aren't on country, I can acknowledge your country, but I can't welcome you as it's not the right protocol. But I hope the ancestors of that country take care of you. So Nun Godjan, that means thank you. Thank you for having me today, and it's been a pleasure. Nun Godjan.
Thank you, Auntie Diane. I call upon Mr. Josh Bull, Parliamentary Secretary for Youth.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you everyone, and good morning. Can I acknowledge Auntie Di, the traditional owners of the land, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. As the Parliamentary Secretary for Youth here in Victoria, I'm of course delighted to be here representing Minister Spence. I use the pronouns he, him. I'm wearing glasses. I have brown eyes and brown hair. And can I also acknowledge Matthew Bark MP, who's joining us this morning, of course, as the Shadow Minister. I want to, of course, thank Caroline Morris, YMCA, and the entire team for organising this important event. I also wish to acknowledge Georgia McKenzie, our youth governor, and commend you all on your resilience, your determination to bring everybody together in a COVID-safe way. We all know, of course, these past 18 months have been incredibly difficult. The pandemic has indeed taken much from us all. As the Parliamentary Secretary for Youth, I've seen firsthand the challenging and difficult experiences that young people have faced, but I've also been inspired and impressed and in awe of the way that young people have managed these past 18 months. So many young people have engaged with me and with my office through the development of our youth strategy. And as a government, we need to plan to continue to support our emerging leaders to increase participation in social and economic, civic and political life, to equip young people with better life skills, to improve education and employment opportunities, and to support young people's mental health, to provide better access to public transport, to local services, and of course to promote a safe and more inclusive society. I'm really confident that after consulting with nearly 2,000 young people right across the state and holding over 30 forums, that our 5-year whole of government youth strategy will empower young people and make that genuine and tangible difference in young people's lives. In uncertain times like these, we look for leaders. We look for people that care, that listen, and I know that all of you are leaders, that you've all checked in on family, on friends, and that you all care for one another, and that you care for the future of this great state and the people within it. We are in a room full of leaders today, not future leaders, but leaders now. And that makes me, as the Parliamentary Secretary, very, very proud. By taking part in the Youth Parliament, you're stepping forward to do work that benefits the collective. And that in itself is leadership. So finally, thank you for being here, for supporting each other, for sticking together, for demonstrating to all of us the power of democracy, of participation, of the strength of our collective resolve, and for helping create what I think can be a better future for Victorians. I hope you all feel energised and inspired. I know I do. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I call upon Dr. Matthew Barch, Shadow Minister for Youth Affairs.
Well, thanks very much, Mr. President, and thanks, Josh, as well. Obviously, I want to recognise Josh as the Parliamentary Secretary, and I'll echo many of the sentiments that he just expressed. I also, however, want to certainly thank Auntie Di for a beautiful welcome to country. Thank you, Auntie Di. Caroline Morris, the CEO, thank you so much for the invitation to be here at a really important event. I was thrilled to be invited, and it's great to be here. Also, Georgia McKenzie, of course, the Youth Governor of Victoria, and my friend, the Honourable Nazir Al-Asma, the President of the Legislative Council. This is a really important event, and it has been for many years. So it's great to be here, even though, of course, we can't actually be physically together. And Josh is right. We know, largely through the voices of young people that we've heard over the last 18 months or so, that this period of time has been incredibly challenging. And yet I'm also really optimistic about the future of our state, first and foremost, because of the impact that so many of you are having and will continue to have. I have a role that in many respects is not dissimilar to Josh's role. So I'm the opposition spokesperson for youth affairs, but then also a range of other portfolios that I know you're really passionate about. And I know you're passionate about because I can see the fantastic array of bills that you've put forward to be debated over the course of this week. So I too have an obligation, and it's one that I'll certainly meet, to make sure that over the course of this week that I'm following the course of events and debates really closely. We have a state election at the end of next year. And I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets when I say that in previous years, and Josh hinted at this too, so many of the ideas that have been put forward by the Youth Parliament have been taken up by major or minor parties. And so many of the bills that you put forward caught my eye. The bill regarding education at schools for teachers and students about neurodivergences like autism and dyslexia to break stereotypes. I'm really looking forward to that debate. There's a fantastic bill on the need for detailed education on Indigenous culture and history. Well, any education on Indigenous culture and history, as a former history teacher myself, wouldn't be a bad thing. So I can't wait to hear that. I'm also the Shadow Minister for Youth Justice. And so I'm very much looking forward to the debate on the bill about raising the age of criminal responsibility in Victoria, which is a highly topical issue and one that I know so many of you are passionate about. Now, it's going to be difficult, of course, because you're not physically in the chamber. We have a Westminster system of government that is highly adversarial. The whole nature of the chamber and the president, the Honourable Nazir Al-Asma, was sitting virtually, if you like, in the council chamber before. The whole physical makeup of our parliaments, of our chambers, is such that we face off against our opponents. Legend has it that the table in the middle of any Westminster parliamentary chamber, in our Legislative Assembly and also in our Legislative Council, is exactly the width of two swords, so that should you become so hot and bothered in debate that you draw your sword, well, you won't be able to actually stab your opponent. Now, for one, I don't think that's actually true, but it's often said. It's often said. I worry. I do worry very much that these days, so often we see those we differ from as not only being wrong, but bad. And so like Josh said, I really hope that this week you're able to have passionate debates, differ from others, sometimes differ very significantly, but also find that you've got so much in common. Many of us, and I know many of you, are depressed about the state of politics and the state of leadership in our country right now. As a very new member of Parliament, only a year and a half ago, I was teaching my English class at Ivanhoe Girls Grammar School. It's fantastic to see Ivanhoe Girls Grammar is participating in this event. So I've only been in for a relatively short period of time, but in that time, I've found so many friends within the government. I'm a member of the opposition myself, friends like the President, many others who've looked after me and showed me goodwill. For example, when I've experienced ill health, when I've had my struggles through this period of lockdown. And so I would encourage you in your ongoing leadership. I'd encourage you in your interest in politics. Many things have happened recently that I know have turned off so many young people from engagement in politics. However, I would encourage you that there are many good people in our parliaments, and with your interest, with your ongoing interest, I hope there'll be many more in future. So it's fantastic that you've engaged in this really important opportunity. Like Josh, I'm really looking forward to see how things progress this week, and then also selfishly, with my Shadow Minister hats on, to see what I can seek to progress from what you've put forward. Thank you so much for having me along to be part of this opening ceremony.
Thank you, Dr. Bach. I call upon Ms. Caroline Morris, Chief Executive of YMCA Victoria.
Thank you so much, and good morning, President. Her Excellency Georgia Mackenzie, who is, of course, our 2021 Youth Governor of Victoria, and a pleasure to see you this morning, Georgina. And Josh Bull, MP, and Matthew Bark, thank you so much for your history lesson. I have to say I did not know about the swords, and I will never forget it watching Parliament as we go through this. And I'm sure many in our cohort here will not forget that either. And I do hope that you all become good friends throughout this period, albeit it's going to be on digital. And of course, obviously then, welcome to our 2021 cohort of youth parliamentarians. What a privilege and a pleasure So before I begin, I would too like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. And I'd like to thank Auntie Di Kerr for your welcome and your acknowledgement. Thank you for that wonderful protocol. It was a delightful speech, and so from the heart, Auntie Diane, it was wonderful, thank you. At the Y, we're passionate about providing this program and other platforms for young people to amplify your voices and feel heard about issues that are important to not only you, but all young people. YMCA Victoria Youth Parliament is one of those platforms, and we provided at the Y and have been doing so since 1987. Young Victorians have led the development of the program and shaped it into what it is today. And as Matthew said, many of the bills do influence future legislations, and we're very proud of the fact that that happens. And look, there has never been more important time to hear from young people whose futures will no doubt be impacted by the lasting impacts of the pandemic. As Josh Paul said, and Matthew talked about as well, the last 18 months, the extensive COVID lockdown in Victoria has impacted young people disproportionately, whether it's a generation of children who haven't been able to learn to swim or experience a camp. And our Victorian young people have missed out, I think, on many firsts. And I talked about that first camp, that first friendship group at school or university, but Youth Parliament will not go into that bucket of things you've missed out on. It will go on. And over the next 4 days, our young parliamentarians will debate issues that affect them, their communities, and in some cases, all Victorians. And I just can't wait to hear their thoughts and their solutions to the challenges young people are facing. Like last year, this year's program is being delivered online, and I'd like to acknowledge the countless hours the Y Victoria Task Force has volunteered to develop both an in-person and online program in preparation for both scenarios. I know this has resulted in hundreds of additional hours planning for this year's program. And look, other programs of this scale have been cancelled or postponed, but the task force were determined. They have innovated, they have been dedicated to make this all possible. And I know that our participants, the many young people taking part in this year's program, are very, very thankful for your contribution. This program is vital to giving you the platform to have your voices heard at the highest levels of Parliament. And I'd also like to thank the Parliament of Victoria's staff. Throughout this turbulent year, your support and guidance to the task force has been invaluable. And your ongoing partnership makes this transformational opportunity possible for young Victorians. And thank you also to the Department of Families, Fairness and Housing for your commitment to this program and for the accessible opportunities you provide young Victorians. And thank you to the Victorian Electoral Commission for your ongoing support and commitment to engaging more young Victorians in politics and civics. And now to our youth parliamentarians, I wish you all the very best in your sitting week of the YMCA Youth Parliament. And I encourage you to take some time over the next few days of sittings to reflect on your experiences and achievements and just to absorb it and to take it in. I do really wish you the best of luck and can't wait to tune in to the debates. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Morris. I call upon Ms. Georgia Mackenzie, the Youth Governor of Victoria.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, everyone. I'm Georgia Mackenzie, the Youth Governor of Victoria. Before I begin, I too would like to thank Auntie Di for her welcome to country and acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm zooming in on. For me, that's the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging and recognise that sovereignty was never ceded. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. To start, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today as we officially kick off the 35th YMCA Victoria Youth Parliament. Youth Parliament has a long history of providing young Victorians with the opportunity to have their voices heard at the highest levels of Victorian government. And I'm lucky enough to have a personal connection to both this program and its history, with my grandfather being a key element in its creation while he was president of the Legislative Council 35 years ago. Since then, a lot has changed. I'm sure no one ever predicted that we'd be doing virtual debates. But as this program changes and grows each year, its core remains the same, and that's why we're all here, to amplify the voices of young people on the issues they care about and the conversations that they're so often excluded from. As my fellow speakers have mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic really has turned our world upside down, and all of us have felt its impacts. But it's clear that young people have been disproportionately impacted, which is why it's more important than ever that they are provided with the opportunity to share their challenges, their passions, and their ideas for change. This week, we'll see a group of incredibly passionate young people do just that as they debate the bills they've created and work to make the change they want to see a reality. To our youth parliamentarians, good luck. I know it's a scary proposition to put your hand up and have your say. Remember, your voice and your ideas are valid and important and deserve to be heard. Make the most of this week, put your hand up, have your say, and use this opportunity to connect with your fellow youth parliamentarians. To our Youth Press Gallery, we all know the vital role that media plays in our democracy, and there is nothing better than having young people sharing the stories of other young people. I cannot wait to see and read the stories that you share this week. All of you are now part of the Youth Parliament community, and it is an incredibly special one to be a part of. Finally, I want to acknowledge the incredible effort of our volunteer task force. It's been an effort to get here. It's been a tough road, but this group of young people have rallied together to make this program a reality and ensure that the voices of our young youth parliamentarians are heard. So good luck to everyone. I'm sure I speak for everyone watching and everyone here when I say that I cannot wait to see you all in action this week. It is now my great pleasure to declare the 2021 YMCA Victoria Youth Parliament open.
Thank you, Ms. McKenzie. On behalf of the Speaker and myself, I'd like to thank Auntie Diane, my parliamentary colleagues, the clerk, and all the speakers, and wish our youth all the best and good luck. The Victorian Youth Parliament will proceed with business and the Legislative Council and Assembly chambers at 10:20. Thank you very much.